Hello, hello everybody. Greetings if you are watching right now. If you guys can see me and hear me just fine, be sure to let me know. I'm already seeing some people in the chat. Bob O says hola. Foshizzle says hey Yong. First name, last name says heya. And we're live, it seems. So, for those who don't know, Bethesda is doing this Fallout 76 showcase at QuakeCon. And it's gonna go live in 10 minutes. I figure this is a game a lot of people are anticipating and curious about. Some with trepidation, understandably, and I think I think this is gonna be pretty important for Bethesda, right? To answer all of the fan questions and concerns, to show us more, to get us excited, hopefully, and just to give us some semblance of this is gonna be a good game. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in just 9 minutes. But in the meantime, I'd love to hear from you guys, what you guys are hoping for, what you expect to see. Or if it's already, you know, if this is a game you're just not interested in regardless. I know for some people, the whole Bethesda not releasing the game on Steam kind of put them off a little bit. So, and I think that's quite understandable. But, you know, maybe they'll find a way to make up for that in whatever they showcase here. I think they're going to focus on character progression and the perk system. So we're going to get some idea on what that's all about. Willie Houston says, what's up, Yong? Hey, man. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your generous contribution, and thank you for being an awesome supporter. So let's see what people have to say. Oh, a lot of people are asking if I watched the Doom showcase. Yes, I did, and it looks like Doom, but bigger and better. It looks incredible, not gonna lie. It's just, I love the hookshot mechanics that they implemented. And it's just the environments are so much more expansive than the first game. Love the blade and all these different things. It's, yeah, it's like the Doom we love, but just better. And that's what you want out of a sequel, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. I think a lot of people very positively reacted to that particular showcase. So, but yeah, I think that the gun hook is the hook shot is the best part. Like, just like that adds a whole new dynamic to the gameplay, makes it all the more dynamic, frenetic, wild, and that's what Doom is all about. So, you know, I'm never one to complain for more Doom. Simon K asks, is this the beta? Do you mean Fallout 76 beta? That's coming later in October, a month before the game launches. This is just sort of a showcase of progression, character progression, as well as a Q&A portion where fans get to ask questions and they'll answer. Hopefully they'll give us some satisfactory answers to clarify all the things that people have doubts about. Jordan Maximus asks, Nintendo Switch version? They seem to want to support the system. I'm assuming you're talking about Doom 2. Have they officially announced anything for Switch? I feel like they haven't really said anything on that front. If they somehow managed to pull it off, I'd be impressed, because Doom 1 already, like, it struggles a little bit to run on Switch. It runs fine, actually, like, for the kind of experience you get on what is essentially a portable hybrid. It does a really good job. But Doom 2 looks even... It just looks so much bigger in scope that I'm not sure the Switch will be able to handle it. But maybe they went into development knowing that they were going to release a Switch version, so they could optimize the engine to support the Switch more, and maybe they'll find a way to pull it off somehow. If they do, that would be miraculous, if I'm being honest. That'd be awesome, though. I'd love to see a Switch version. Oh, a few people are saying that Dying Meme says, yeah, check Doom Twitter, it was confirmed. Shit. Well, awesome, Bethesda. I love that. You know, say what you want about Bethesda. I can say that I love their level of support for Switch, and I think it's working out well for them. I'm pretty sure their games are selling pretty decently on Switch because people love the idea of taking their full-fledged games on the go. That bastard chap says, I think we're all losing hope with Fallout 76. You know, different people have different opinions. I'm like right in the middle. I honestly don't know how to feel about the game quite yet. On the one hand, the idea of a Fallout multiplayer game is interesting, right? Just this idea of going on a post-apocalyptic adventure with your friends. Like that basic idea is enticing. The way they're going about it is a little iffy to me. Just the way how there are no NPCs really to interact with, to give you character-driven quests. Just sort of, I guess for me, I wanted more of a co-op Fallout campaign experience rather than like an online-centric shared world Fallout that puts so much focus on multiplayer that maybe some of the narrative gets lost along the way. I don't know. I haven't played the game yet or seen exactly how the quest structure works, so I'm not gonna make any deliberations. All I'll say is that I hope there's enough narrative there to keep me invested, that it's not just about shooting other players or, you know, just, I don't know. There are interesting elements there. The focus on construction, I think, might appeal to some people, but I know that Fallout traditionalists, they want a proper narrative experience with choices, meaningful choices that affect the narrative as a whole. And all of that kind of seems to get lost a little bit with the way they're doing Fallout 76. Like, I'm fine, I'm all for a Fallout multiplayer game as long as it doesn't compromise on what makes Fallout Fallout, you know what I mean? I think that's the main thing. And we'll see if Bethesda can deliver on that front, or if this is just a multiplayer game with Fallout tacked onto it. I think that'll be the factor. A lot of people saying hi. Somebody said something about being a game journalist from Germany. Says hi. Hi to you, good sir. Horse Lord, young, sexy as hell. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. I'm sure everyone will have their own tastes. Some people might not think I'm that sexy, but appreciate the thought. Oh, I just noticed the title says Showcase instead of Showcase. I'm gonna change that right now. Yeah, okay, I changed it. Or maybe this is a showcase. It's a new kind of case where we chow down on information. It's a chow case. That was a terrible joke. So yeah, I changed it. Hopefully it... a lot of people are making fun of me for that. I think I deserve that. Let's see, what time is it? 11:59. In a minute, we'll be going live, and I'll stay as quiet as possible, comment every now and then if I find some announcement good or bad, or, you know, iffy or whatever. Yeah, so ETA, somebody asks, like a minute. Like, it's 12 right now, or 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 Central. That's when it begins, so it should be starting anytime soon. And, yeah. Let's see. Alright, yep. It's going live soon.
What's up, QuakeCon? Welcome to the Fallout 76 panel. You guys excited?
Todd the God Howard.
I see some really cool cosplayers over there. Welcome. Yeah. All right, ready to get started?
Let me turn off the annotations
I'm
here.
Gary Steinman. Oh, somebody loves you, Todd.
You should all put your masks on. we need a mask.
Yeah.
Mask picture.
They have masks?
All right, hold on.
Is it the creepy Vault Boy mask?
All right, there we go.
Love it. That's awesome.
So I'm Gary Steinman, and for the next hour, I'll be chatting with a team from Bethesda Game Studios, picking your brains about Fallout 76, getting the answers to lots of questions we gathered from a lot of you guys in the community.
That's
the tough
good.
questions that they've been dying to hear answers for. But before we jump in, I'd love to play the official trailer for Fallout 76, the one we debuted at E3 2 months ago, because honestly, I could watch that trailer again and again and again. So why don't we all watch it together, again, right now.
Alright, well, so we've already seen this. Some people want the volume up. I'll do that right now. Hopefully that'll be good enough. So I'm assuming I can...
After our great nation began, we gathered together to honor the completion of Vault 76.
I can talk through this because we've seen this a million
This
times.
sprawling underground shelter may have been engineered by Vault Tech, but it was built by you. So that if the bombs do come, our way of life will endure.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all
More volume. I guess the volume on this stream is a little low than usual. I got headphones so I can hear just fine, but...
mountains, blowing like the breeze, country roads.
I will say I do really like this trailer. That's a beautiful sight. The trailer itself is well made. And this music, I mean, it's classic.
For when the fighting is stopped and the fallout has settled, you must rebuild. Not just walls, not just buildings, but hearts and minds, and ultimately, America itself. In Vault 76, our future begins.
Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to the good stuff now.
It still doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
Everyone started clapping. I got goosebumps.
Yeah. It's like a
That was
religious
awesome.
experience, like a communal experience, hearing people, watching some of you sing along to
I
the
mean-
song. It's amazing.
The song's pretty good.
Yeah. Stuck in our heads forever. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce the team here, starting with Development Director Chris Meyer, who also happens to be a local or extended local. You're right down the road in Austin.
Austin, Texas. I've been there since '95, so it's a great city, Austin.
Project leader Jeff Gardner.
And producer?
And of course, game director Todd Howard.
Todd the God Howard. It just works.
So.
And Gary.
And well, I introduced myself. Well, I'm Gary. Gary. I promise tough questions, and they'll come, but let's start with an easy one, or what should be an easy one. Todd, what exactly is Fallout 76?
That's a good question.
Yeah, what is it?
I mean, the short answer is, I think people know, Fallout 76 is an open-world RPG set in the Fallout universe that has a lot of systemic and survival qualities. And the big difference with other games or games that we've done are that every character you see is a real human that is playing the game, and that creates some really exciting scenarios that we never can anticipate.
I'm a little iffy about that.
You used the word
NPCs.
systemic. And we've got Chris here, who worked on one of the granddaddies of all systemic online games, Ultima Online. And now you're working on Fallout 76. Tell us about your journey to work on this game, but also your excitement, your experience, and what you're bringing to Fallout 76 in terms of that kind of systemic online game.
Ultima Online is the reason I'm in the industry. It was the first game I worked on and how I cut my teeth working on sandbox games with lots and lots of players. So it is a dream come true to sort of bring that experience to the Fallout universe, which is a beloved franchise for me personally.
And what do you do? So Jeff, what do you do hour to hour, minute to minute in the game? I mean, people know what a Fallout game is and what you do in a Fallout game. Is it similar here? Do you have quests? Do you have activities? What goes on?
You have quests, tons of systemic activities. I mean, it's very similar to the Fallout you know and love. The major difference is obviously, as you've heard, it's online. And there's a lot of tension created with other characters. Are they friendly? Are they foes? We really dug into the survival elements and the crafting elements of the game, the workshop and camp elements. So we really hope that it's really like a place that once you're in it, you're sucked in for hours. We find at work, like, we're just sucked, hours go by, and we're like, oh my God, I got work to do.
That's a really vague explanation.
So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think and people who come to the office and play it, at first they're like, this is the Fallout I know and love. So I think like 80% of it probably is the Fallout everyone is used to, and the other 20% is really different. And it's at times a little hard to explain, you know, this is the flow and how it feels, because at one point it's comfortable, and the other side it's all new.
Which brings me to another variation on that question. Is this the right game for Fallout fans?
Well, I think so, but I don't really know. There are so many types of Fallout fans, right? You see everybody here, and there's so many things in our games, and some people love just the exploration, the character building, the stories, the combat, crafting, and so it has all of those things. Obviously, the thing it doesn't have are NPCs that are going to be specific characters that tell you a story that we've written. We love those things. We understand a lot of our fans love those things. And this one replaces that with the other players. They are the interesting NPCs.
But they're not.
Hopefully, in a lot of ways, more interesting than what we may create on our own. So that part's very different. I can't say it's, you know, better or worse. But, you know, when you sit down and play it, it feels like a new Fallout game.
But there's no one type of Fallout. And we've talked about this around the office a little bit, too. There's no one type of Fallout fan, is there?
No, not at all. And if you look at the old games, you're coming from an isometric, more turn-based type thing to what today is it has more adventure elements in terms of exploring a world and what that means to feel like living in that world. And that's something that still is very important to us at the studio in terms of, for the time you're in it, it has to feel real, despite it being a video game and stuff like. Sure. And that's what sucks you in when we play it. it's reached the point in the office where really we don't want to stop playing it. It has a very slow burn, but you feel like I am this person in this world, and learning how to survive and learning how to conquer it. It's very rewarding.
The other big question I have is, why now? Why is now the right time for
Sorry,
an online
1 second.
Fallout?
Well, we figured we wouldn't do it till we had done 70 more versions of Fallout, so we went right to 76. We'd get to, I don't know, there's a good answer for that. We had talked early on. We had, talked with Chris, who was down in Austin, the team there. We had some ideas of what multiplayer could look like. We started that during Fallout 4, really on paper. And Chris and some of the other folks in Austin actually started right when we were starting to finish Fallout 4 in 2015 to see, how it could feel, what it could look like. And it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, it was great. It was taking a game that we love, Fallout 4, and then actually grabbing some network code from one of our sister studios, id. We're using the Quake 3 networking architecture, which is great, and then bringing it into the game.
And then this one is for you, Jeff. You've got to herd many cats in your role, and now you've got these cats that are not just in Maryland, and not just in Montreal, and not just in Austin, but yesterday we announced that we have BGS Dallas as part of the family. So you've got a team spread across North America.
Yeah. Great group.
How are you not pulling your hair out?
Well, I am pulling my hair out. But it's, it's amazing. There's so many talented people across these teams with great leadership. And, this has been a learning curve for me, too. It's my first online game. So without guys like Chris Romero, who have done it for years, I'd really be lost at sea. It's an amazing experience to be able to go to Montreal and work with the folks who are doing all the graphics, and then back down to Austin, all these gameplay and network code experts. It's bringing this all together in a way that has been it's been a 3-year project, right? So it's gone and gone and gone, and we've done this really quickly. We iterate really fast, and everyone is really good about communicating, and we fall short here and there, but we all have what's best in mind for the game is always our #1 thing, not ego. So we always focus on that goal, and we're so excited to share it with all of you.
And for you, Chris, you recently joined, or relatively recently joined the BGS family. What's it like, the culture here, and how did you adapt to becoming part of the BGS family?
Once I got over the awe of actually being a part of Bethesda Games franchise, they make franchises that I've loved forever, starting with Morrowind. But after that, adapting to their culture, they're a very iterative studio, which I like. I love that we play the game every day, sometimes all day, and keep making improvements every time we make a new build. And it's a great culture, a great thing to be a part of. I love working with all of these guys.
That's great. So, you brought some new stuff, Todd.
Oh,
and to
here we
be
go.
honest with everyone out here, I only saw this stuff maybe an hour ago, so it's still fresh to me too. Stuff about the character progression,
there we
perks,
go.
and whatnot.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us what we're about to see?
Look through the questions everybody has about the game. One of the big ones is, how does the character system work? Given that it's an online multiplayer game. So we have a bunch of stuff to show you all in the game, how the character system works. And we'll go through and explain it. One of the things that we're doing, we showed a little bit of it at E3, the You Will Emerge videos from our friends at Vault-Tec. And so we've done these videos for several sections in the game, and we thought we would show you first here at QuakeCon the one that deals with perks. So we can roll it.
What is going on?
You will emerge. Today's episode, Being a Better You. In life, we must each deal with the hand we are dealt, performing our assigned role to the best of our capacity. But after total atomic annihilation, you may find the hand you were dealt has been reshuffled. Yes, gone are the simple days of yesteryear. Now the common workman must also be a covert operative. The farmer, a master of the martial arts. The ice cream man, a nuclear physicist. make sense of it all? Simple. Turn to your official Vault-Tec training materials. With these powerful tools in hand, you'll learn to make the most of your natural abilities and better understand what makes you special. Use them to be the best you can be, or someone even better. Your survival depends on it. With your future secure, share your newfound knowledge with others for great benefit. But remember, there's power in diversity. Sometimes who we are isn't a choice at all. In fact, at a particular point in your young life, you may notice that your body has begun going through certain unfamiliar changes. No, it's not puberty, it's mutation. Thanks to our old pal radiation, your DNA has become more interesting.
Huh.
See here? You've now gained the unique abilities of a marsupial in exchange for a mild neurological impairment.
Okay. Mutations are a thing now?
Now you've learned how to be a better you. You are completely prepared to achieve your full potential in the role of your choosing. As a hand-picked resident of Vault 76, it is your duty to carefully review your Vault-Tec-provided films yearly to fully prepare for the day when you will emerge.
All right.
Okay, Todd. That was a lot of fun, but I think we all have more questions now.
Yeah, it's we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive here, and there's a lot to go through, and we'll do our best to explain it. The video does a great job of selling the IDOC parts of it. The mutation part is pretty fun. Your character can actually get mutated, but the perk system and how you develop your character, we've done a lot of interesting things there. But let's just jump right in and show you a little bit of the character creation when you first start. You wake up in the vault, it's Reclamation Day. We have a full, customize your character like we've had before. It's even better now. And let this go a little bit. You get to take your ID badge. We've added this photo mode in the game that's really, really cool.
The photo mode allows you to change your field of view, zoom in, zoom out, you'll see all the filters that are coming up. You can do this both here when you take your badge, it's like a training tutorial for it, and then you can do it anytime you want out in the wild with your friends, with dead enemies, with live enemies. We have also added this to our load screen system. There's not a lot of loads in our game, but when you fast travel, there's a little one, and so any of the pictures you've taken there will pop up like a random deck along with our curated photos. We really, came out of a game jam. We do these game jams.
This is like
in the middle of
Instagram.
projects to see what new features we want to try to add in, and this was one of our favorite ones.
Yeah, it turned out really, really great.
And fun for socially shareable stuff too, even
Exactly.
offline. You
Share
could
it, you take
kind of
pictures with your friends. And so, again, you make your character as a whole host of it. You can take pictures where you want. You can also, anytime in the game, change how your character looks. Because you're going to play a character for a long time, and you can swap out, change your sex, anything, your hair, everything, just so that you don't feel like, well, I don't like how I picked in the very first second what I look like. And really, really cool feature. Next, we'll show you stepping out of the vault and the first level up, and kind of dig into that some. So if you hit level 2 when you step out, you kind of complete the initial vault thing. And the first thing you do when you level up is pick a special that you want to increase. If you played previous Fallouts, we have all the 7 specials. And after you pick the one you want to increase, you then pick a perk in that special. So here we're choosing Gladiator, which is a melee perk. And then that is a card. As you can see, the perk system, the perks are cards.
Your one-handed melee
equip those,
weapons now do 10% more damage.
And every special is a pool of points for the cards you want to equip. And each card has, I don't want to say mana cost, but a point cost for how powerful that card is. And do you have the right special for equipping it?
Right. And is it flexible, or am I jumping ahead? Do you have...
There's some more on that we can get into and show you how flexible it is and why we made some of the choices that we did. But let's keep going, and then we can spend some time when we see a more complete character.
Okay.
Okay, this is a level up to level 4. So we picked some more cards. We wanted to show you how the cards themselves rank up.
Okay.
So you can pick that card again. So by picking Gladiator again, you can then combine that card with the other one to create a more powerful version, but it costs more points.
Right.
So sometimes you may decide, well, I only want the 1-point version equipped for my character build versus the more powerful 2-point version because I'm using my strength stats in some other way. Yeah, so I think that probably makes sense, yes. I hope.
But there's more than 4 levels in the game.
Yes. The levels keep going up and up and up. We don't want to make a game where you have to stop leveling. But we had to make some very interesting decisions of what that means for a multiplayer game for balance. So let's run the next one where we see it's a much higher level character.
Right.
I think it's in the 40s. So here we are, and you'll see a character that's much further along. Picking Charisma. We can talk about Charisma, is interesting.
Yeah.
Here's a perk that lets mutations act better with groups. And so you can pick any perk that you meet the requirements for when you level up. There's no randomness there. And here's what it looks like with a character that's further along. We've upped the cap for each special to 15 from 10. That allows better balance for which cards you're equipping. And the cards right now go from 1 point up to 5 points in power. And then as you level up, more cards become available.
I've got a bunch of questions about that, but I
want on there and chat a little bit. Keep going.
Okay. But I wanted to ask about charisma. Should I ask that later?
We can talk about that now. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris. How does charisma work in an online game? If we're not talking about NPCs that you can influence, what does charisma do for you?
That was a very interesting discussion amongst the team to try to figure out what do we do with charisma. But it made sense in a multiplayer game that a player that invests points in charisma and collects those cards, they can share those cards with their teammates. So we've developed a system where that player that invests can become the person that makes your entire team more powerful by sharing those cards. We did throw a few cards in there for the single player. I think we have one as Lone Wolf, as I recall.
Lone Wanderer.
Oh, Lone Wanderer, right. So if you can still pick some charisma cards if you're more of a solo kind of player, but the person that plays in groups all the time will probably invest more there.
Huh.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And you probably saw before, again, when you level up, you get, these are the cards that come into the sets you can pick from when you're level 4 or 5, whatever. Right. We also experimented with, well, how do we add some more fun to it and give you more choices? And so we have added, because they're cards, perk card packs. And every few levels, initially every 2 levels, you get a perk card pack, and that has 4 random cards. Again, you could have picked these, but it gives you some more interesting choice that you might not have picked to give you some flexibility in your character. And then later on, you get them every 5. But let's look at a perk card pack opening, because they're a ton of fun.
Sure sounds an awful lot like loot boxes.
We do have gold. That one's great. We have gold cards that animate. Of course, you get a joke and a stick of gum.
Nice.
And the gum, actually, for fun, is a very slight... It reduces your hunger for a while if you chew the gum.
You can't
and so
pay for these,
they're
right?
a ton of fun. When you hit that level and you're
That's
like, oh,
important.
it's level 6. All right, I get a pack. You get to pick your regular perk and then also see like, okay, I got these other ones. Is there something I want to swap out? And that's something good to talk about is the swapping of the perks.
Right, because you mentioned that, the packs help you discover something you might not have known you wanted. But
boy.
How flexible is the system, Jeff?
Sorry, Gary.
Go ahead.
You can swap out perks anytime. Generally, again, to reiterate, when you level up, you pick a special. You get a point in that special, which is the pool of points that you can slot perks into. You also get to pick 1 perk per level. Generally, you'll pick the perk from the special you chose, but you can also pick other perks if you have available points. And then these are wild cards. So every 2 levels from level 1 to 10, and then every 5 levels after, you'll get one of those perk packs. And what they allow you to do is to experiment with some other builds and cards you might not normally have played. Remember, you do start with 1 point in each special, so you will have unused points from the beginning too, where you can try just slotting these in right off the bat. What we have found is that allows players to go, hey, what are these luck perks? And why do I really want to search containers for extra ammo? And as you play a survival game, you go, wow, getting extra ammo in containers is really valuable. And those, remember, you can also share those perks. So if you have perks to share ammo and you share that on your team, every member of the team can then find more ammo in containers. And these all rank up. So eventually you're getting like huge bonuses in the amount of ammo or food you're finding, or your carry weight's a big deal in this game. A lot of interesting back and forth with developers on how much you can carry or not. And you see those cards at first, you're like, well, that's not as cool as being able to do plus 20% damage with my pistol. But in a survival game, being able to carry more means you'll be able to carry more pistols. So there's a lot of ways that interplay, and there are so many cards in here, hundreds, and you're able to really do these cool builds and swap things in and out. And then I'm on a team. I have a great perk for this team that I might not want to carry. Lone Wanderer is a perfect example of that. Lone Wanderer, as soon as I play that when I'm playing solo all the time, because it gives me a bonus to my experience and damage. And as soon as I get on a team, I turn that off because I'm on a team now, it doesn't work, and I'll equip a different card that I can share with my team.
So when you say builds, you're not really talking about sitting there and having multiple kind of decks. You're talking about having more of a baseline and then making little changes here and there quickly and easily. Is that a kind of a correct way of putting it? Or?
Yeah, your character, you're still progressing the way you would expect in an RPG, and it's kind of growing and growing and growing. So it's kind of what Jeff was saying. You're swapping out a thing here or there. The perk packs can also sometimes give you a perk that is, we intentionally do this, you might get 1 or 2 that from a pack of cards that is a higher level than you are. So it's like a few levels in shooting distance. So you say like, oh, I didn't even know that was a perk. Maybe I want to pick agility on my next level up because the game has given me this other perk and I just want to try it out. The other thing is, this is the multiplayer part of it, that when you hit level 50, you don't get to pick any, you don't get to give out a special point anymore. So that doling out strength and all that stops at level 50, but you still get to pick cards. So that gives us a continuing thing where, okay, I hit level 73, and I'm still like, you know what? I never got to pick that perk, because again, there's hundreds of them. I'll go pick that one. I want to try it out. So you're not, but we're still capping the power curve ramp that in our other games, like a Skyrim or a Fallout 4, just like your character keeps getting more and more and more and more powerful, and we knew we couldn't really have that in this one.
You talk about the discovery of perks too, and how you might discover them in a card pack. You might see your friend using one that you never thought you'd use. Have any of you, in your own internal play testing, found a perk that you never thought you would use that you're like, wow, this is really cool? Chris?
All the time. Yeah.
Any recent examples?
Well, I remember when I first started playing the game, I did exactly what Todd alluded to, or Jeff, where I've always picked the % damage perk. Because I'm thinking, okay, I just want to do more damage. As I played the game and discovered there's a lot of value in doing things like building up your camp and doing a lot of exploration and gathering resources, I started to actually take perks I would have never picked in a single-player game to reduce the amount things weigh so that I can actually carry more junk. So I can then bring that back to my camp. And I find that I'd swap that out a lot. Like if I'm playing by myself and doing more exploration, I tend to use those kinds of perks. But if I play in a group, we typically have some objective in mind. It's something we want to go and kill, and then I might swap some of those out for the more traditional damage perks.
Yeah, Jeff, anything for you that emerged recently that you didn't think you would use, but now you're using?
I can't think of anything particular. I did get one of those weird mutations the other day, though. They're a lot of fun, too. So I was playing, and all of a sudden, when you have a lot of rads is when you're susceptible to mutations, like in real life. And then I got a mutation called Bird Bone, but I didn't realize I'd gotten it, and all of a sudden I was over-equipped, which is always a frustrating experience in a game. And I'm like, why am I over-equipped? And I looked, and I had this perk, and it let me jump extra high, but it lowered my strength. So again, like the way the dynamic systems work is incredible. And you can spend a lot of time in that perk menu, but remember, it is a live game, so make sure you're in a safe place.
And then I have another question. Who gets to write the jokes in the gum wrappers?
That is Emil Pagliarolo. Or, he does all of the jokes.
Master of the memes.
He's done that for us for a long time. He wrote the arrow in the knee. That wasn't really a joke.
What?
It became a joke. It wasn't a joke. That poor guy.
You guys really need to address
wrote all of those.
whether you can buy the packs or not. That's important. It's very important.
So let's switch gears. I want to get to some of the questions that we've gathered up from the community.
Nope, they're just gonna.
I'm gonna call this the Thunder Round. Usually we do a lightning round, but we've got a half hour here.
That important question after this, maybe.
Thunder through some really tough questions that we gathered up from the community. Let's start with the big one, the beta. Now, you guys want to play? Am I right? Why can't you let them play any sooner, Todd?
There's a lot of chatter.
I'll pack up my stuff.
Look, we want everybody to play it as soon as possible. We're playing it now. There's a lot we have to do, right? There's things that we know we need to change and fix before we get it in everybody's hands. And the other thing is, even though people are going to start playing the beta in October, this is a game that we're going to be constantly updating. So everybody's feedback is really, really important to us. The beta for us, this is an all-new thing, right? So we need to stress test a lot of systems. And that's why we called it the Break It Early test application, because it's going to break.
Oh, you're going to
We're pretty sure of that. And get ready. And so it's really, we need to make sure we're ready for everybody comes in, it all crashes the first moment. See, I make it sound fun, right? It's going to be really fun. And then, making sure we're ready to fix that really, really fast. And so that we're in a good loop of, hey, here are the issues. Let's fix them and get everybody else in the game as soon as possible.
I want to pick up on something you said, just to reinforce it. You mentioned that this is a live game. Of course, we're going to continue to work on it. Your feedback still matters. Because I know that was something that I think some of the community were concerned about. Yes, everybody wants to play it sooner than later, and I'm with you. But you will continue to work on this game, or you have plans to continue to work on this game and evolve it. It's not like it's finished and then you're going to take one little round of feedback. You have lots of thoughts and plans, and we don't want to get into the roadmap, but...
Right. We do have kind of a roadmap in our heads, and this is a game that we think, with the community, is going to be a very different game a year after it's out, and 2 years after it's out, and 5 years after it's out.
It's a live service.
50 years. We have big plans and what we can do with the game and with our community, and the beta is just really the first step.
The first step. The next big one, PvP. I think everybody is excited, anxious, concerned, highly anticipating, nervous. You've talked about it a little bit here and there, but why don't you just take it from the top? How does it work? What's the deal with griefing? How are we going to be able to enjoy our Fallout game? Or how am I going to be able to screw up somebody else's Fallout game and get away with it? Or any variation on that? I'll just leave it to you to...
This is why I don't go on Reddit.
That's right.
All right, we will do our best to sort of explain where we're coming from with PvP. We agree with those. Like, we have folks in the office, we have that debate, is it what is it? Where do we want the players kind of driving force? Is it a PvE world thing? Is it the other players? And for us, it is both. How can we do both? And so the first thing we'd say is that we want this element of danger. It sounds weird to say, without griefing, which is like, okay, those things are often in conflict. So right now, and you've seen it in some of the E3 videos, when you shoot somebody, you do a little bit of damage. You don't do full damage. It's like an invitation. It's like slapping somebody in a bar. Like, you want to fight? And like, that's annoying. And eventually, you're like, yeah, I think we're going to. And so you do little bits of damage. If you engage, then you're doing full damage. And there's a cap reward based on the player's level. So if the player's really high level, you're going to get more caps from them than if they're low level.
Okay.
If you want to, after each one of them dies, you can seek revenge, which doubles the incentive. So the guy kills you, and you're like, well, that was annoying. Then the game says, hey, if you want to seek revenge, I'm going to give you the double reward. It's like, okay, maybe I want to engage in that. And that's really, really fun. The issue is when you don't want to engage in it, right? Someone's coming up to you and they're slapping you and slapping you and slapping you, and you're like, I really don't want to deal with this right now. We have a lot of ways you can get away from them, but we still like it where they do, if they keep going at it, they have the ability to kill you, which sounds terrible, right?
It does.
To be like, why would you do that? We like to turn that into a dramatic moment. So the player that kills somebody that didn't want to engage in it then becomes a wanted murderer. They get no reward.
Okay. Yay?
That's like the first applause of the panel. Murder! So there is no reward. You get no caps. You get no XP. You get nothing for becoming a wanted murderer, except for the kind of social incentives people have online to be assholes.
Right.
Which evidently there's quite a few. So what do we do with that? We turn the assholes into interesting content. So they appear on your map as a red star. Everybody sees them, and they have a bounty on their head. And that bounty comes out of their own caps.
Oh.
Oh.
And they can't see the other players. So on the map. And we did this. We had this idea. Like let's turn it. Like let's make them interesting content. And it is when this happens, when anybody murders somebody while we're playing in the office, everyone sees on the map, and it is like it's awesome. Like,
yeah, that's one of my favorite stories there. So the other day we had a big internal test, and we had played for hours. And towards the end of the test, I had leveled up. I had actually started early, and so
I like the system.
I was higher level than a lot of the other people, and I saw that red star, and I was almost about to log off, and I was like, oh, now I'm going to get somebody. So I had built a sniper rifle, right? I found a hunting rifle on a super mutant, and I built a little scope, and I extended the barrel, and I was like, I finally get to use this. So I fast traveled near them. Now on the map, remember, you see where they are. It's not super up. It's a little relative, so it's not super pinpointy, but you'll know generally where they are. So I'm sneaking, because when you sneak in our game, your appearance on the map disappears, no matter what state you're in, except for wanted. So my pip doesn't appear, and I'm sneaking, and I see him in the building, and I see him moving around, and he comes wandering out, and I took his head off with my sniper rifle. And he drops down. I go running up. I loot his junk. I danced, took a picture over his corpse, and logged off.
Okay, the anti-griefing system, I like. That's choice.
What happens when you die, though? What happens when someone kills you? Like, Chris, why don't you jump in? What, like, if I decide to engage, or even if I don't engage, am I punished if I die, or there's got to be something?
Yeah, for a long time, we tried testing where there was no punishment at all. And that took all the sting out of death. People used it to their advantage to travel back to various points, and it didn't feel right. But we didn't want to make it too punitive, because we do expect people will die, and there's no save games like a single-player game. So what happens when you die is you just drop your junk. And junk isn't worthless. You need junk to build things in your camp, or to make better guns, or to make better armor. So what it does is it creates a loop where you go out and explore, you create some junk, and if you happen to die, that's all you drop. You don't lose your awesome power armor or any of the guns that you've collected. But then you have to make a decision. Is like, was that enough junk that I need to go back and get it? Or is that something I can live without? And what people will do is they'll go back to their camp, and they'll put their junk back in their stash, which is safe. Nobody can take things out of each other's stashes. And we've also seeded the world with stashes as well. So if you know where some of the stashes are, it's always a safe place to store the junk that you've collected.
So just enough so it'll sting,
but
not
not
enough so that it'll really deeply hurt
And
you.
it's also a little bit of a reward for if you manage to kill somebody, there's usually something there with them.
Nice.
And the thing with junk is it's nothing that you can't just re-get if you just keep playing. Like, that's that pile of it. But if you just start exploring, you'll collect more. So it's sort of like, well, that was sunk time. Do I want to go back and get it? And that happens on PvP. So if you do kill somebody, their junk drops, and you get to pick it up. You get the caps from them.
Right.
You can take the junk, but yeah.
But it's just a little grindy time and you got it back.
It's just, you know, we like it. We put it in, and it's just enough to make it where before you head into a dangerous area, before this, you would just run into a dangerous area. You don't really care. There's no penalty to death. It's like you just fast travel back. And then once we did that, it's like you just stop a little bit, like, well, don't want to take a moment and like collect myself, store the junk before I head into danger.
If anyone remembers Fallout 4, screws are very valuable. So if you've got screws in your junk, you want to store them.
Yeah. You can't decide between like this awesome looking gun or a desk fan. They both have equal.
How does respawning work, by the way? If you die in a dangerous area, but can you respawn anywhere? What goes on there?
Respawning always takes. You can respawn anywhere you've unlocked, just like Fallout 4. You can fast travel wherever you'd like. The closest point to you is free, and the entrance to Vault 76 is free. Beyond that, you have to pay caps based on how far away it is from you. So if you decide you want to take that opportunity to go way far to a corner of the map, you're going to pay a small caps cost.
You know, thinking of the Vault, going back to PvP, it doesn't kick in until level 5. So that gets people into the game a little bit and understanding it before people start saying, hey, do you want to fight? Do you want to fight? Because otherwise, they'll just hang out. Because everyone comes out of the Vault. So you would just like set up your camp and all the turrets. That happened for a while. You're like, I'm really excited, I got the game.
Remember, for people who have more questions on PvP and can already see some exploits that might not be fun, we do allow you to ignore and block players too. So you can actually, when you die, or at any time, honestly, but especially when you die, we have an option there for if you're just done with that, you can ignore them for that session. Then they can't see you on the map. They won't be able to still mess with you generally unless they can find you. But this is a very big game. It's very hard to find people unless you know exactly where they are. You can fast travel easily. We also are entering a pacifist flag, so your bullets won't do that slap to people. So you don't have to worry about, I'm fighting something, some idiot jumped in front of my bullets and tried to get me in PvP. We're allowing you to turn that off too.
Oh, okay.
People were abusing that in the studio.
Yeah. The pacifist flag.
Well, no, they would wait till you go shoot a creature, and they would jump in front of the bullet.
Right.
Yeah. We had our QA team. I asked the QA team, several hundred people, during one of our sessions to be the biggest assholes they can one session. We got a lot of good notes out of that, of things we need to fix.
QA knows how to play the game.
Yeah, they know how to play.
I do have one more question about PvP, which is if you are a higher level character with higher level armor, higher level weaponry, how do I even have a chance? And I get the slap mechanic, but if I want to engage and I'm a lower level character, am I just going to get destroyed instantly?
We struggled with that. So what we've done is there's two sort of power curves. You have the usual power curve against creatures in the world that you're used to in our games. And then, so if you take a power curve from like low damage to high damage, in PvP we normalize it, okay? So just a knife is gonna come up in damage and the really powerful things are gonna come down. So they feel right, but the death in PvP is quicker, and it works the same for armor. So if you play other multiplayer games, the guy in power armor with a minigun is obviously gonna be harder.
Right.
But if you get the drop on him with a knife, it does kind of work. And it makes it more fun without it being, well, I have no chance whatsoever. Again, there's still a ramp there. It's just, normalized.
Cool.
That seems like a good solution.
And you get the caps, all right? So that's the other thing, is why do I want to go try to kill a level 100 person in power armor with when I'm low level? It's that my reward is going to be way higher.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Nukes. Very cool.
So yeah, they don't want to balance it too much, because then it's just, you can't feel that power fantasy.
I mean, we know that things happen. We know that the area gets irradiated.
But just enough where it's not,
There's higher level loot, higher level enemies. But let's say I have a camp in that area. What happens to my camp? How soon can I rebuild it? Chris, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, well, first of all, nukes are very cool. All right, they're one of the coolest things that happen in the game.
Yeah.
But we don't want it to be overly burdensome to a player to lose all their stuff, so that we don't. When you nuke a camp, it does destroy the structures, but we've created something called a blueprint system, so that if you spend hours making a really cool house with lots of detail, you can blueprint that house. So it's very easy to replace it in the event that it gets destroyed. by a nuke. It also makes it very easy to move your camp. So even if we're not talking about destruction with nukes, if you decide you want to relocate your camp to a different part of the map, and you can pack it all up, and you can put it somewhere. And of course, the terrain is going to be different, but because you've blueprinted your house, then you can usually find a way to jimmy it so that it looks good when you're replacing it. So it's very easy to get back to where you were.
That's a good solution. It's not bad.
The other thing with that is that the camp destruction part is really, it's easy to repair it if you want to leave it where it was, but we did, the camp destruction exists, it's not really for like, hey, go blow someone's camp up. We realized when we put it in that that is a griefing mechanic, is like someone wanders by and then you build a camp and you like imprison them. Now they have no way to get out. So they need an ability to damage the walls just to get out of the prison you have built for them.
Right.
So it has less to do with, hey, we want other players to come and blow them up. The camp is also good for PvP, where someone engages with you and you lure them back to your camp. There's Ashley Chang in the studio. You can build like musical instruments, and he built his camp, and he's sitting in the middle of a road playing a tuba. And he's on this platform, he's like, burp, 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 burp. And he had built all these turrets in the foliage you can't see. And everyone's just like, this guy in a tuba, like, and then the turrets go, and he's just like killing everybody. He's like, burp, 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 the whole time. It's awesome. I forget where I was headed with that.
I don't know.
I don't know what the answer is. The camp intersecting with PvP stuff.
Right.
And the other thing with moving it around, that was key because the game's so big, you come out of the vault and you find a place where you're like, this is where I'm going to build my camp. And then you play like 4 more hours and you're like, I shouldn't, like this view, I like this place better. So people tend to put their camp down, and then as they progress through the map, they are finding new areas, and then they kind of settle in, like, okay, I really like this spot.
So you move through the world, you meet friends, you're playing with others. How does communication work? Because I know that you've put a lot of thought into that, and that's even evolved a lot in recent days, months, weeks.
It has. And this was in the E3 stuff where we had the emote wheel we have, where you can emote, and we have the Vault Boy cartoons. It's really fun. We were big on communicating in a nice way with strangers, and we've had some successes there. But we have found that we weren't giving the other players, even if they were strangers, the ability to really be as interesting as we wanted. So now we're adding, we've had voice chat for your teammates, and now if you want to turn on your mic, we have voice chat for all of the strangers, which really lets them communicate, and it's a very, very different dynamic. In the game.
They'll communicate.
Area-based, so people around you will hear you talk. Yeah. And you can mute that, too.
Any interesting chatter around the office in your own play tests?
Any what?
In your own play tests, any interesting
There's
chatter?
always interesting chatter, and there's always cool photos that people are putting up from photo mode. I mean, it's a really fun game to play with people. I remember it was just a few weeks ago, I got to a point that was really hard, so I waited till lunchtime and then gathered a bunch of people. It's like, hey, you need to come help me with this part. So get a bunch of people logged in at lunch, and then we go and kill the super mutants.
Cool. Let's talk about V.A.T.S. How exactly does V.A.T.S work? If it's an online game, it's more of a real-time, everything's happening in real time. How does V.A.T.S work?
It's real time. We now, initially, you can't target body parts. That's a perk.
Okay.
Because it's real time, like getting all the parts at first is kind of hard. So we did it where you get the whole body, you get the percentage based on your perception, and it's incredibly, incredibly useful. And so we did that, and it plays really, really well. So we're happy with it.
Yeah, it's not just useful to target and hit enemies, it's also to find them.
Yeah.
So you use that a lot to try to, I heard something shoot at me, where is it? Because obviously the game in certain areas is much more lush than our previous game, so things are very hidey. You don't know quite where they are.
I mean, the thing I personally love about V.A.T.S, I'm not the most skilled twitchy player, so it allowed me to become a much better player in a game like Fallout. I mean, is that something, so for those who want to engage in combat, does it still help them in the same way?
It does. Because it's based on your perception, and perception starts at 1 now,
right.
It's not as useful out of the gate. But then the point is, if you invest, I'm a perception character, those percentages do cross a line where, oh my gosh, I'm definitely more accurate using this than I am just doing it on my own. And we try to strike a good balance there.
an easy question. I think we might have even mentioned it in the past, but who's doing the music for Fallout 76?
Enon Zur, who's done the music for our other games. He's amazing. The soundtrack is spectacular.
Yeah.
Good choice.
And we have a lot of licensed music as well. So we have more tracks than we've ever had in a Fallout game. So there are radio stations you can listen to. Something we've loved in the series, and it's always fun to go through and say, like, okay, what are the classic tracks we want to have? And then there is an unbelievable amount of just bizarre old 40s music. Like,
oh yeah,
there's some wacky stuff. It's great for Fallout. So sometimes it's like, hey, what's the mood of this song? And then other ones are, hey, this is the song that has, you know, this kind of, you know, the slant on the lyrics as it appears in Fallout when it's post-apocalyptic, make it really fun.
We know Fallout 76 is an online game. This question has come up a lot on places like Reddit. What about private servers?
Good question.
That is definitely something that we are doing. We're committed to it. Modding for us, it's not just having a private server, it's being able to mod it. So mods for us have really been, you know, once our games come out, that's what our hardcore players play. And they're still playing, you know, Skyrim and Fallout 4, two of the still most popular games in the world, and a lot of people are playing mods. And so that is something that, given the online nature of it, is going to be very, very complicated, but we're committed to it, and we've been, you know, starting to design what that system is going to look like. But it is, you know, I will say this, it's a complicated problem, but one that we are 100% committed to solving.
So not at launch, it seems, but looks like they're committed towards implementing private servers and modding those servers, which is,
I think that wraps us up. I think we got through the questions we had. Any last words for the audience about Fallout 76, what you're excited about, what you want people to experience?
I just can't wait to see all these people in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't wait to play with you guys.
I would say really it's, you know, seeing everybody here and what our fans have meant to us. This is part of our excitement. You know, whenever we do a game, we try to make the game that we would really want to go out and buy ourselves. And this one is very, very different for us. We know it's different for our fans. But it's also the first game that we can really experience with them. And that part of it is really important to us. And I don't think people really understand how exciting that is for everybody at all the studios. Yeah.
It's exciting for all of us. Thank you, Todd, Jeff, Chris. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Fallout 76 comes out November 14 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. We'll be sharing a lot more information soon. Thank you, and a big round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So I have mixed feelings, which seems to be the recurring theme with this game. On the one hand, all the stuff they talked about in terms of balancing the game, the griefing, the way you can move the camp, and all these different things they put thought into, I really appreciate. I think that'll make PvP and stuff a lot more bearable, maybe a lot more fun. So some good stuff there. They were still very vague in terms of what narrative elements will keep me invested in this world. The quests, how does that work? They just kind of provided this very weird boilerplate vague answer that gave us no information whatsoever, which leads me to believe that there's not quite as much there as maybe some of us are hoping for. And then there's the perk packs. That's concerning to me. If they can confirm once and for all that that's just completely in-game, that there's no way to purchase these packs, then fine, you know, then whatever, then it's part of the gameplay flow and loop and whatever. So that's totally cool. But if it turns out you can pay for these packs, then, you know, I'm not going to say that's pay to win per se, because I guess you do need to level and stuff before you can use these perks, but if you can just pay to get all the best stuff, that would still affect gameplay. That'd be gambling that affects gameplay, the worst kind. It's Battlefront 2 basically. So I hope that's not the case. The thing is, we haven't confirmed anything yet. We don't know for sure if you can pay for these. But if you can, then that's troubling. So I hope this is something Bethesda will address very soon, before people get the wrong idea, unless we are getting the right idea. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see what some of you guys have to say. Some interesting comments in the super chat. But yeah, Matt Blanchett points out we don't know for sure if it's loot boxes. Be patient and listen before jumping to conclusions. I do agree with that, but I do understand where the concern's coming from. So hopefully they'll clarify that very soon. Rack City, never played Fallout, but I'm here to show support. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. Two in the pink says, this changes my perspective entirely. PvP is going to be a lot of fun, especially if I can buy loot packs. LMAO, Lamau. I don't know if that's sarcastic or not. I mean, if you want to buy your loot boxes, enjoy them, I guess. But for the rest of us, that's just, no. But, you know, yeah, PvP with some of the things that they thought about, I'm not, it could be fun. I've never been against the idea that Fallout 76 can't be fun. It's just for people who want Fallout. You know, what are they going to get? The Fallout that they know and love. What can they look forward to? Some words of support. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Two in the pink says it was sarcasm. Okay, good to know. He also says, I'm really annoyed from this interview. Hope I'm wrong. I'm still mixed. I don't know. I have to play to see, like, they say all these things, like, yeah, it's balanced and this and that, but without getting my hands on the game and seeing how it all works, how it all feels, in an environment where there is, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of players, it's really hard to say for sure whether it functions properly, whether it really is, whether what they're doing is actually balanced and it's good and it's fun, or if, you know, I guess that's what the beta's for, so that's good, I guess. But yeah, aspects of it did annoy me, like the perk packs and the progression. I guess I forgot to comment on that. I'm not sure how to feel about the progression. Obviously, because it is a multiplayer game, they had to change some things around. Hold on, let me there we go. I mean, I just might as well go full commentary mode at this point. There we go. So yeah, progression's very different from past games. Now, whereas before you have set specials and then you upgrade skills. Now they got rid of skills altogether, it seems, and it's just special and perks. And every time you level, you add points to each special. Everything starts from nothing, from 1, and then you add stuff based on how you want to tailor your character, and then you choose perks along the way that are, you know, packaged in a way so that every level offers a different selection of perks. And then so you go from there, and then every couple of levels you open random perks so that you can peek ahead a little bit and be like, oh, I never thought that's a thing, maybe I want to pursue that. And so, you know, in theory, it could be interesting. And I get that they had to change it so that it fits multiplayer. But, you know, whether that works, whether it's something that feels satisfying, that will depend. I guess the fact that there is, like, hundreds of perks really might make this interesting, where you can really make a wide variety of really interesting builds. So that's cool. But obviously, it's very non-traditional, and I'm sure there's going to be people for and against that. But again, I do understand that they need to change it so that it fits the multiplayer kind of gameplay they're going for here. Yeah, the randomized perks thing, it puts a damper on that a little bit for me. But it depends on whether you can pay for that or not. If you cannot pay for that, then it's whatever. Then it's just a gameplay mechanic. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. They're showing us a lot of things, but we still it's just one of those games where you really won't know for sure unless you play it, I think. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say for now. I hope to make a video that summarizes everything we just saw in case some people didn't tune in. That way they don't have to watch an hour-long presentation. Let's see. A couple more messages. Matt Blanchett, I hate to say it, but for the people looking for Fallout in this game, you probably won't like it. If anything, it's best to look past this and look towards Fallout Miami or Cascadia. I think I tend to agree with that stance a little bit. I do think that, like, if you're looking for Fallout multiplayer period, you're probably going to enjoy this, but if you're looking for the Fallout that you would expect from this kind of series, it's very non-traditional. If you're a traditionalist, I don't know if you're gonna like what they're going for here. I do agree with that. There's gonna be people on two different camps. Shadow Warrior 42, man, that Doom Eternal reveal got me absolutely hyped. This shit show literally put me to sleep. Extremely vague and no gameplay. Yeah, I was expecting a little more gameplay, but they showed like a few clips and then they talked about the rest and very vaguely for some stuff, and then other stuff they went into a lot of detail. So, you know, overall I'd say this was a pretty disappointing panel. Thought we would see more rather than be reassured. You know, like actions speak louder than words. A picture, you know, whatever the saying is. Vanguard Commander, I just want to say I love your videos and how detailed they are and look forward to being informed. Well, I look forward to having you, all of you. Thank you so much for the kind words, for the support. But I think now it is time to wrap it up. Just, you know, discuss among yourselves what you thought. I think I'll put something a little more comprehensive together in the near future, maybe later today. But this is what we got, and lots of info, lots of questions is what we're left with, which I'm sure, you know, once the beta hits, that's when we can really, I think, make a proper deliberation on whether this is a game we'll like or whether it's something that we won't like, or, you know, which crowds it will appeal to. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, everybody. I look forward to our next chat, our next stream for whatever event is worth covering, Game Awards or PlayStation Experience. Look forward to that, and I will see you guys next time. Yong out. Peace.